Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Conversations with BibbyJ. Thank you for joining me tonight. How are you? I hope you're good. I am great. I have been busy today doing mommy duties. It's a Saturday, and this is what happens. Most Saturdays we get to do this. Hello, Paysetta. Thank you for joining. Hey, B. Thank you for joining. How are you, sis? Thank you, ladies. Good evening. It's good to have you on. Thank you for joining. How has your day been? I hope you've been having a great Saturday. Well done. Thank you for joining. My namesake, I see you. Thank you, sis, for joining. Thank you. How are you? I hope it's all going well. I hope you're good. Hello, Wellness Abby. Thank you for joining. Boomy, I can see you. It's so funny, like we jump right off one call to come on this one. But yeah, thank you, darling, for coming. Thanks, B. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My guest is in the house already. But before I bring her on, obviously, I just need to thank you all so very much for always showing up, always coming on board with us to have these conversations. Thank you again for joining. It is Conversations with BibbyJ. And for those who are just joining us, welcome. It's good to have you on. How have you been? Please let me know how is your Saturday been. Hope you're having a good time, not getting too stressed about Christmas. And it would be nice to know what you're up to for Christmas. If you're doing anything interesting and you want to share, please do go ahead and share. Oh, thank you, Paysetta. Yes, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hello, Tolu, thank you so much for joining, sis. You're welcome. It's good to have you on. We were meant to stream to Facebook as well, but I decided that, the last conversation we had on Saturday, it was, we had some audio issues on Facebook. So I thought, let's just stay on Instagram, because I think my Instagram family just want to be here. Thank you so much, Tolu. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Hi, Blessings. So, guys, I've got another. So I've got two guests tonight. Hey, Trent. Thank you for joining. So, guys, my colleague is on this show tonight. Thank you for joining. So right now I think I have to be in my best behavior because I've got my colleague online. So it wouldn't go to my office and tell people, oh, BB's doing this, but Ellie's doing that. But yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you, Sis Aloha. Thank you. Glad to have you. Nurse Abby, I know you're on already, so please, I can't see a request from you yet. So please, if you can just send in a request, I can bring you on. So yes, anyway, let's just get started while I wait for Nurse Abby to join. So thank you all again for joining. Thank you for coming on board. It is Conversations with BibbyJ. Again, thank you. Last weekend, I said that we're going to have another conversation today, and I'm glad that you all tuned in. Thank you so much. Thanks, Annabelle. So Nurse Abby is here. Thank you all so much. All these compliments I'm getting, I'm just feeling good. Thank you so very much. Hey, Nurse Abby. Good evening. How are you? I can't not hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You sound far away though, but I don't know if it's just me or if anyone else feels the same. But it's like you're far away.
Really? Okay. How is it? Everybody in the chat, can you just basically
please? I think I can hear you. I can hear you now, but people online, please just put in the chat box if you can hear Nurse Abby properly, please. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Oh, hi, Sexy. Thank you so much. Yes. I think they can hear you. So as we all know, yes. Thank you. How are you? It's good to have you on the show again. How are you? How was your day? How was your Saturday? I know it's been a full-on day for you, but yeah, how did it go?
Do you know what? It's actually been really good and chilled out compared to
Oh,
most.
nice.
Yeah. Okay, Pace Setter says, hello, Ness Abigail, we can hear you. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yep. Thank you, Pace Setter. Thank you. Hey, Faye. Thank you for joining. All right. So, I think, do you know what, Nas Abby? You know how we do this. So, I know the people on the show tonight, you're not a stranger to them. People have seen you before. Guys, if any of you have been on my page recently and you've seen the conversation I had with Nas Abby on waist trainers. So it is still same Nas Abby here. And so tonight we have come to discuss a very, very sensitive topic. And I know, hi MC, thank you for joining. I know that this is something that, I mean, when myself and Nas Abby discussed this, I said, do you know what? I am in that place of my life right now where I feel like we haven't done ourselves any justice by hiding or covering our experiences, the things that we have gone through. I mean, it's all well and good, you know, to share all the outcome, the success that we get, you know, all the things that happen, the good things that we enjoy. It's all well and good to share those things, but what we don't hear most often is those things that didn't go as planned, the things, the struggles that we have along the way. We don't really necessarily share those things. So now we thought, okay, do you know what? It is time for us to start sharing this, because it's not just good enough to, you know, people say to you that, oh, don't go, if you go on Instagram and you see people looking all glammed up and everything, don't believe what you see. And, or, do you know, and, do you know, sometimes I want to come online without makeup, without anything, on the days that I feel like, oh gosh, this is how I'm feeling today. So you don't all think that I've got it all going well and I don't have days that I feel like, okay, do you know what? I think I've had enough. Do you understand? So it is good. And that's all we're trying to do here. And on miscarriages, do you know, I said when I posted the flyer for this.
Yeah.
Sorry, someone is just trying to call me. I said that I do have a personal journey, which we will get into. And I also have another guest online with us tonight who also wants to share her story. She has been on this journey before and it was a bitter experience for her and she would like to share. So I'm really grateful to God for that. And I'm thankful to her that she decided to join us today, right? So Nurse Abby, from your own view, you're going to be talking to us from a medical perspective. As a nurse, a nurse of over 10 years, right? Over 10 years experience. You've been, I'm sure you've seen it all, you've heard it all. And there's just so many things around miscarriages, pregnancy, let's just put it that way, pregnancy and miscarriages and what causes them. So as we're about to start tonight, I mean, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
Basically,
we're about to just to kick off tonight. So I think I'm losing you, Nurse Abby.
It's like going.
Yeah, I'm losing. Can you hear me? Hey, Nurse Abby.
Okay, I can hear you, but every once in a while it's on buffering.
Okay. It's the same thing for me as well. Yeah. All right. So tonight,
what I was going to say is if tonight I can just get one woman, just one person, to have, you know, to have a deeper understanding of what a miscarriage is, why it happens, and we just basically demystify some of these myths. And I think most of it comes from our African, our African heritage. And a lot of it is the fact that we don't have enough information, or the information is available, but either we choose to, or we don't have access to that information. And then we start coming up with different things. You know, I've often heard people say that, oh, a woman has a miscarriage because of her past, the past that she's lived. That is a great myth. Okay. I've also heard that women have miscarriages because of whatever issue. But listen, this is a medical condition. So what I want us to do is I'm going to start first of all by giving the definition of a miscarriage, okay? And this definition.
Fantastic, Nasabi.
Yes.
Just before you go there, I was gonna say that actually, do you know what? Maybe it might be worth us just giving a definition of what a miscarriage is. So, guys, what we're trying to do now is let's just focus for a few minutes on the medical aspect of this whole thing, because there is a medical part to it, and I think that's all that it is to it anyway, to be honest. So Nasabi, please go ahead and give us what is a miscarriage.
Okay, so basically, if a woman should lose a baby before 24 weeks, that is a miscarriage. Then also there are other contraindications. So for example, if you were to lose a baby within the first 3 months, that's known as a late stage miscarriage, right? And then when it happens 3 or more times in a row, so not like you've had 3 miscarriages, but if it happens in a row, it's called a recurring miscarriage, okay? Now, there isn't any one reason why a woman can miscarry, okay? However, what medical people say is that age can play a factor. So obviously, the older a woman is, the greater the likelihood of her having a miscarriage, okay? So we've heard people who are in their 40s, 50s giving birth.
Yeah.
Obviously, age alone is not a factor. However, it is, could be a contraindication to a woman.
Yeah.
Then another factor as well is it's a condition. It's a genetic condition, but it's to do with the way your blood clots. Okay. Now, in science, we know that blood clotting is necessary. For example, now, if you were to cut yourself and you start bleeding, the body automatically forms a clot, because that clot acts like a plug to stop further bleeding.
Bleed,
That is normal. That's the body's natural response. However, in a woman that is pregnant, that could actually have implications to her as well as the unborn child. Because what will happen is, we know that the placenta is the life. The placenta basically the baby blood. So if a clot was to travel to the placenta, then you now cut off the supply, to the baby. Yeah. And then that's how women have, miscarriages. And sometimes, women report that just before they had a miscarriage, they passed out large blood clots, and preceded by stomach, like really acute, painful stomach cramp. So all these factors, yes, they play a factor, and they can increase the likelihood of, a woman's. So that's why I just wanted to really explain that. I know we don't want to go too medical, but it's just for someone to understand that it's nothing that the woman has done. It's not like the woman, it has, but it could be medical. So we need to have a lot more sympathy and a lot more empathy for women.
So for that, if we look at, so as you said, if there is a blood clot, that's what sometimes leads to miscarriage, right? So what do you say to where you're told that, oh, when you're pregnant, we usually say that when you're pregnant, don't lift any heavy stuff, don't bend down too far, don't run too fast, don't do, all of those things. What does that have to do with, because I mean, in fairness, you might think that, yes, these things don't really make any sense, but if you've been pregnant before, as a woman, you have been pregnant before, even if no one said it to you directly, from wherever you've heard it from, that, oh, I shouldn't walk so fast because I'm pregnant. So what does that mean? I mean, is that really true?
Do you know what? This is some of the myths, because it's actually advisable for women to be active during pregnancy. Okay. Now, activity differs. So we're talking about things like, walking, doing light work is all good. I mean, women have this period where they call necessary period. You know, just before the baby comes, you start cleaning, you go into like,
Yeah.
that's all fine. But like you said, lifting, so for example now, even for someone who's not pregnant, like I'm a nurse, and in the hospitals, they advise us the appropriate way to lift and to do manual
To
handling.
lift heavy things, yeah.
Pregnancy, you're carrying a child, okay? So obviously anything can impact your joints, because women, when you're during pregnancy, everything becomes a lot more softer, you know, because the body is preparing the life. So, you know, you can incur injuries more easier than someone who's not
Yeah.
pregnant. So that's where that comes in.
Okay,
But yeah,
so thank you for that. So there is another one, which I know that when I had my first miscarriage, it was one of the things I was told that, oh, do you know when you when the baby forming inside of you has some sort of like bad thing, I don't know, like it's just use some medical terms, right? That also, because they're not like the pregnancy isn't being like developed as it should be, and because you might end up having maybe a child with special needs or whatever it is, that's why the pregnancy ends all of a sudden. Is there any truth to that at all?
okay, so that again has to do with the age of the woman. So I think it's from the age of kind of like 40. That's where the medical people will say that you're at greater risk of giving birth to a child who has Down syndrome. And I believe now there's actually you can do even during pregnancy, find out if that's going to be the case, if the child is going to have develop any special needs. So I mean, in the UK, we have access to like, you know, I won't say better healthcare, but
Yeah.
we do compared to other, you know, countries such as Africa. Now things are, but here certainly we have access to, you know, proper medical intervention, proper medical checkup that we can go through, you know. But yeah, the older a woman is, the higher the chances of getting, you know, developing a child, developing.
Okay, so I think do you know what? It's a very, as we said, it's a very sensitive topic, right? Because people have different views, people have different, and you know, it's I know Pace 77 says lifestyle too can cause it. So do you know, I want us to look into what causes this thing. Hey Nikki, thank you. Oh, Nikki Show says I'm looking beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, just got distracted there. But as we're saying, do you know, it's like people say that, oh, this is all right, you've said it now, you've told us there is the medical bit to it. Okay, so if there is a blood clot, yes, that can lead to miscarriage. You've said that it could be genetic as well, like if there are some things not going on right. And I know that I read in a book then when I was pregnant with my first, and there were so many things that they said, oh, can cause a miscarriage. And the only thing that I could really hold on to then was, oh, sometimes if there is no other explanation for why you've lost the baby, the easiest thing to see or to say is that, oh, this is probably because there would have been something wrong with that baby if it had gone through the old term, right? And I mean, you are going to be the first person to tell me that isn't true, because
not.
I mean, that's my understanding. That's what I've believed for years. So talking about our own experience now. So for me, I said that I do have a personal experience. So I have lost a pregnancy at 13 weeks before. So it was my first, and I wasn't, I mean, I didn't know what I did that was wrong. The only thing that I can remember was that maybe a couple of days to that day, I was too busy. I was just going up and down and everything I know, but I didn't feel anything. I just woke up that morning and I had this very bad headache. Then the next thing, the cramps started. So I was like, what's this? You know, I didn't even understand. I mean, until I went into the bathroom and I started to see blood. And I panicked. I was like, what is this? You know, I mean, I was 13 weeks, remember? So 12 weeks is 3 months. So the pregnancy was well into 3 months. So We got to the hospital, I got checked, and the doctor said, oh, I need to check you, blah, blah, blah. We went in, checked, and he said, oh, you're having a miscarriage. When he said that, it didn't mean anything to me. Because at that point in time, I was in pain. My husband wasn't around, so I was with my mom and my sister, you know. But what he said just didn't make sense. So he just said, I remember him saying, you're having a miscarriage, but I didn't understand what that meant. Anyway, so he said, okay, do you know what? We've checked you, so I'm going to give you some things. So you need to just go, we'll put you in the ward, and then we'll come back to check you later. I didn't know that I was actually being given some sort of tablets to help the process. Do you know, it was, so it didn't, it just said, oh, we're going to give you something to bring it, to do whatever. And I still did not understand. But until I got back to my ward, I was lying in my bed, and then I wanted to go to the bathroom again, and I felt something push itself out of me. And it was painful. I didn't know that I was having labor pains.
You have the contractions because it has to.
Because I was having serious, I didn't know it was called contractions then. Remember, this was my first. So I didn't know at all. I didn't know it was contractions, it was anything. I knew that the pain would come so strongly that I would be screaming, and my mom would be crying and everything. And then it would relieve me for a bit. And then I'd be like, what kind of thing is this? But at that point in time, the funniest thing was, I wasn't even thinking about myself. I was thinking about the baby. I just kept saying, I hope the baby is fine. I hope the baby is fine. So I remembered when the whole thing came down. This time, can I say that I was in Nigeria then? So that people don't think that it happens here. Because what I'm about to say next is what actually kind of killed the whole thing for me. Right? So I stood up from bed. I don't know if Nurse Abby can hear me. The thing is buffering on our screen. I don't know if anyone can hear Nurse Abby. Okay, so I think you're back. Okay. I think you're back. Yeah, the thing was buffering on your screen. So I'm not sure if you're... Yeah, so I mean, as I was saying that this happened in Nigeria, right? So, and my husband was here. And then, so I stood up from bed and I was walking into the bathroom. Then I felt this thing push itself out of me. And it was on the floor. So it looked like, I don't know, some fleshy something. There was no form, whatever. The thing had not formed anything, right? But it was the way the doctor, and to be honest, this is making me teary a bit. The way the doctor picked up the thing on the floor, and it was like this. Sorry, this is your baby. Wow. And I was like, as it said that, I just went down. Like, I was standing up, of course, when they picked it up. I just went down and I fell on the floor. And I wailed. As in, I cried. Guess what? When he did that, I didn't think he had done anything wrong. I didn't think he had done anything wrong. I thought it was normal. Remember, it was my first experience in the hospital, being pregnant. And this was the same doctor who had been seeing me all the months, all the weeks that I was pregnant. Do you understand? So the thing fell off. He picked it up and said, oh, this is your baby. So yeah, just go. So I remember I cried. Now, I left the hospital. I think I was discharged about 2 days later or something like that. I left the hospital. I was back home. And everything that every single person had to say to me was, oh, you know, God has a way of doing his own thing. These things, they happen. And, you know, maybe it's even a good thing that the pregnancy didn't progress because your husband even isn't around. So, I mean, do you really want to be... So I'm thinking about all of this now. Guess what? They were all saying it from the place of love.
Yeah.
and all of that. The day I knew it was a bad thing that happened to me, and I couldn't talk about it the way I felt, was the day a friend of mine from the UK here called me. Biodu called me, and she was like, "Oh, Bolanle, how are you? How is the baby and everything?" And I had to tell her that, "Oh, I lost the baby."
Maybe.
That was when it kind of dawned on me that, oh my God. So now, this is it. Like, because everyone around me then kept saying, "Oh, you have to see it as, it's a good thing, because imagine if you were to have the baby and your husband is not around still, how are you going to cope and everything?" I mean, for people that know my story, you will understand why I was not with my husband then. I'll probably share it one time at some point on this conversation, some point for everyone. But at that point in time, yes, see, it was typical dismissal of the pain, of my own pain at that time. So, and I didn't want to feel like, I didn't want a pity party, to be honest, right? And I had to be strong. I was forced to be strong. Remember, you're pregnant with your first baby ever, just going through this for the first time. And then, of course, I remember when I was like 8 weeks old, my brother-in-law sent me some money and said, "Oh, Bibi, I don't know, you might need some money to buy some few things for the baby. Just take this." And, and already, like, I was preparing myself for having a baby, right? So my husband was already getting ready to being a father. And this thing happened. And I wasn't allowed to show my emotions. I wasn't allowed to break down, literally, and say that this is a bad thing that's happened. It was later on when I go back to this country. Sorry, Miss Abby, you were going to say something.
You mentioned that, because I think what most people tend to forget is when you're pregnant, whether you're pregnant for one day or for 1 week or for several weeks, the fact is, you are pregnant. Your body already started to prepare itself to nourish life. So you would have had things like your breast will start filling with milk, your hormones gonna start kicking in, So from 1 minute you're very happy that you're about to give birth, and then other times you feel sad, like, not sad, but you feel like anxious, like, it's your first child, am I going to be no one gets a manual when they're pregnant. So you've got all those emotional feelings going on. Then you've got the physical aspect. Like you said, you would have been in a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, and then you've got the so there's all these different things just going on. And that's what I said with miscarriages. Is not just about the loss of a child. So it's very, very flippant to say, "Oh, don't worry, God knows all these things, and you'll try for another one." It's not about that, but go on, Bibi.
It's like, as I said, people were saying all of this out of love, don't worry. And we think that when we say those things to people, it's to make them, more comfortable, make them be able to endure whatever the pain is. But I found out later on that the fact that I didn't have the chance to let's say to mourn, to grieve, because that's a baby. So now when I look at myself, I look at my husband, I look at our children now, I said to myself that you could have been 3, and by the way, guess what? I had 3 different miscarriages, but the other 2 happened very early on, but the very first one was 13 weeks. And for me, I think that, as I said, the fact that I was not allowed to share the way I was feeling, I had to be strong for myself, because everyone around me kept saying, "Oh, it might be the will of God, or maybe you just need to know, oh, this is not right for you." And then I had to, and as you said, of course, there's been changes in my body. Like I'm not one with big boobs naturally, Already my boobs were bigger, were sore and everything. And for me to have to go through that without having a baby to look after. So I'll tell you very quickly, because I want to bring on the next guest who's going to share our own story. I'll tell you very quickly the impact of this on me. So when I was pregnant with my first baby now, oh my God, ask me the sort of fear, the sort of thought that did not cross my mind. And oh Lord, that pregnancy was difficult. It was difficult. I mean, I was literally sick from the day 1 to like 8th month. Honestly, it was difficult. So, and I kept going back. So my head, I kept playing that scenario that I had that time when I lost the baby. And I kept thinking, oh my God, what if? So every time if I had any little pain, I mean, Newham Hospital, my name was, every time this Mrs. Johnson, you've come again, I said, honestly, I can't feel the baby. And I was not ready to take any chances, honestly. Myself and my husband too was able to, it was like any little thing, oh, please, let's go. I will call Biodu. Oh my God, Biodu became my midwife. Biodu, this is how I'm feeling. Should I go to the hospital? And to be honest with you, all of that came from the trauma of losing that pregnancy then. And there was nothing said about it. It was like, even people around me, was like life normal. Everyone went back to their lives and doing their own thing. I will have my days that I'll just be there and be like, wow, by now I should have been. So when I think about it, I would say to myself that right now, if that baby had survived, do you understand? I would have had an 8-year-old boy or girl, you know. But this is the beauty of being a person of faith, you know, because at the end of the day, we still put it back to God as, you know what, despite everything that we've been through, despite everything that's happened, we are truly grateful.
It's so hard to have that perspective, but it's obviously, you know, with passing of time, you now start. But in that moment, I can imagine that it would be really, really hard for you to, you know, rationalize that way.
It was, honestly. If my mom was watching this, I'm sure she would be crying. Because as at that time, she thought that she did the best for me. And to be honest, I was glad that I had her around me. But all the things that they were saying, I was, at the point I was thinking, okay, they said, don't eat this. I didn't eat anything. I didn't even have any appetite. I didn't even have it. So yes, Grace, you're right. Grieving is so important. And I don't think that losing a pregnancy. So I want us to discuss the bit where when you've lost a pregnancy, you have a baby eventually, everyone is happy and all. What about those women who are still losing pregnancies and they still does not have a child?
Yeah.
What do they label them as? So, Nurse Abby, as I said, I have Blessing on the call who would like to share our own story as well. So, Blessing, I know you're here with us. Please, can you request to join this conversation, and I'll bring you on. And Nurse Abby, please, let's just go through the comments in this comment section to see if there are any questions that we can address when we come back with when you come back on. So, yes. So please, Blessing, if you can request to join in, and I'll accept you on so that you can quickly share your story. So thank you, Nurse Abby. I have one person on this call tonight who would like to share our own story. So she says she had a bitter experience as well. And, you know, this is what I say about, you know, giving the platform to people to help everyone. Just come and say, I mean, see, Grace said her mom lost 15 pregnancies. Oh my God. How on earth? How do you cope with that? One single person, one person going through that number of pregnancies. And as Nasabi said, you know, the issue is, even if you're pregnant for 1 day or 5 weeks or 10 weeks or 8 weeks, there are changes in your body. And so imagine someone, but actually I know someone who went through 22 miscarriages. 22, that's right. So yes, so Blessing, I've got Blessing on now. I'm bringing her on the show so she can join us as well. So she lost 22 babies. Let's just put it. Pregnancy. I mean, like, how?
So yeah, Blessing, I've got Blessing on.
Blessing, we can't see you. Like, it's dark where you are. So okay, so maybe you need to face the camera to yourself. Oh yes. Okay. Hello, Blessing.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
You're
So,
welcome.
guys, I have got Blessing on the show. She responded to my post and she said that she has an experience. She has had an experience of this and she would like to share her story, because what this is all about is that we should be unashamed to share what we've been through. And so,
Exactly.
Blessing, thank you so much for joining. Please go ahead and let us know, how was your journey? What exactly happened to you and how did you deal with it?
Okay, good to see you and a pleasure to be on this show. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so my experience is not so different from yours, just that mine was much earlier at 5 weeks. It happened at 5 weeks. So it was barely a month from when I discovered I was pregnant. I've not even gone to the hospital to, have myself checked. I was just planning to do so. And then I started feeling some cramps, but because I don't have any prior knowledge or understanding of what it means, I was feeling maybe I'm stressed, maybe I'm tired, that was what I was feeling. But I told my husband, I was like, I feel something, it's sharp pain on that, but he was like, okay, what do we do? I said, okay, it's Christmas period, maybe after the Christmas I'll go to the hospital, do a scan or something. But it was faster than me, and before I knew it, I went to work. I think I went out or work or so, because I still didn't have enough time. So when I was at work, I was feeling very uneasy with myself, very uneasy, and I still did not make time to go to the hospital. I think he gave me like 3 warnings. He gave me 3 warnings.
And you just
did. Then when I got home that evening, I saw a blood stain. Wow. That was the third, but it was just mild. It was mild. And my husband is a very spiritual person. Let us pray about it. We started praying, prayer. Because let's go tomorrow morning. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Don't worry. Take a rub anointing. Don't worry. You'll be all right. I was like, okay, but I need to go to the hospital. I said, yeah, I need to go. He said, no problem. You go to hospital. I said, okay, even if I go to the hospital, let me take scan. Let me do scan.
Yeah.
And okay, we agreed on that finally. But before the next day, I had heavy bleeding. Heavy bleeding by the time I woke up. Heavy bleeding. I went to, it was so bad. It was like I broke down. Before we now got to the hospital, they did the scan. They say, Madam, you have lost this pregnancy and they need to flush you and all that.
That's the thing, is that word, they need to flush.
Flush
it's that word, they need to flush.
Yes, they need to flush your womb. And I was asking the doctor, I said, what could be the reason for this miscarriage? And he didn't want to say anything. He said, Madam, I cannot say this or that is the reason. This is your first miscarriage. If you've had miscarriage couple more times, maybe like 3 or 4 more times, then we'll be able to determine the trend. We'll be able to study the trend and tell you this is the reason for your miscarriage. So, Madam, but the doctor was kind enough to tell me not to worry. I will take it again. Madam, you will take it again. Don't just let this, don't let it bother you. And I was really appreciative of that.
Wow.
And so he told me, which way will I like? Will I like them to do it, open me up and do it? Will I like them to do it, by, I don't know, the other process or with drugs
or something like that?
Or take drugs. I say, no, let me take drugs. I don't want anybody's hand going into me or anything. It will add more sorrow to my pain. So he now prescribed some drugs that I took. And when I took those drugs, actually, it made me go into a little contraction. I felt myself contracting and all that. And this happened on the 31st of December. People were rejoicing into the new year. Me, I was crying in pain into the new year.
Yeah.
So that was how it was. And I told when I told my parents about it, they were like, so if something bad had not happened, I wouldn't have told them I was pregnant.
Oh
I said,
God.
anyway, I had another experience, not a miscarriage with my first pregnancy. So this is my second. I wanted to be very sure and very okay before I let
Yeah.
anything, you know. And
Mm.
Nigerian sentiment and mentality, they attributed it to say, okay, spiritual. This is spiritual. How could you lose your first pregnancy, lose the second one? Who knows what's awaiting you in the third one?
That's the thing. Do you know that's the thing. It's like we're so quick to associate everything to spiritual. Oh, yes, that
Exactly.
was an attack. You know, I mean, to be honest
No.
with you, as you said, your husband is a spiritual person. My husband is very spiritual. In fact, the day he said that, oh, he had a dream, and in the dream he saw that people were laughing at him and something like that, and
You know,
you start to think
so
that, okay, so
absurd.
who am I offended?
I
that wants
will.
to that wants to kill my child. Do you understand? Who is it? So, and this are the things. So you know,
Mm.
thank you so much,
Yeah,
blessing. Thank you. You
yeah.
said so very quickly. You said when you told your parents, the first
Mm.
thing they said was, oh, so if nothing bad had happened,
I
you
would
wouldn't have
have told
told them.
I was pregnant.
So and you
Like
can
I used
see,
my nurse or my doctor or something. I said, okay, I just apologized and let it go. Just not to go into too much,
yes.
conversation and bragging with them. And that was it.
Mm,
And then, but they didn't just stop there. Oh. They were pressuring me into going to deliverance houses and all that.
God.
But I just cut off. I just cut off and shut them up. And then
Mm,
they got me that this my daughter is not ready for anything good to happen to her.
mm,
So even though I took in like up to 6 months after, and thank God that pregnancy was able to go through, I
yeah.
didn't even know until I was like 4 months when I saw that the pregnancy was about to start showing, and that was when I let them know. And they were angry with me again. I said, so
Wow.
you
And you know,
you
that's the
don't
thing.
know.
Why should you have the need to hide your pregnancy?
You know,
Do you
you
understand?
know, you know,
Why? So
why?
it's and that's the thing. That's why for me, it's we
Mm-hmm.
have to always think about the trauma that
Yeah,
comes off the back of this. It is not easy to get that result to say, especially if you've waited for a bit. So
yeah,
the pregnancy I lost wasn't a pregnancy I had immediately I got married. We were trying. So it was so wanted, like I mean, our lives dependent on it. So imagine losing that kind of pregnancy, and all I could get was, oh, sorry, yeah, this is your baby. Sorry. And oh, don't worry, you don't know why it happened. God allowed these things to happen
you know.
sometimes. And no. Do you know, honestly, thank you so much, blessing. Thank you for sharing your own
I,
story. I said that my
it's a
joy,
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I said my joy is that many women would come out to share their stories, because what we want
Yeah,
to do is to take away the stigma. You don't create
exactly.
babies, you don't make babies. Even your own body. For me, I said that your body changes as a woman once you get pregnant. So imagine
Exactly.
having all of those changes going on in you, and at the end of the day, you still don't have a baby to
You
nurture,
don't.
to
And
look
you have to
after.
explain to so many people
Do
what
you
you went through
understand?
when you have
Do you know
not
what?
grieved enough for what you suffered.
Thank you so much, blessing. Thank you. As I said, please stay on and see in the comments. There might be questions for you. I know people are sharing their stories. Everyone is saying different things. Bedu says that she had an ectopic pregnancy a few months after getting married, and she had to wait for almost 3 years to get a positive pregnancy test again. So, I mean, you can imagine. I'm sure Bedu remember when she got that positive result, the fear was still there.
Yeah,
That,
the
oh my
fear.
God, I hope this is
You're
not
not,
going to be
you
an ectopic
you be
one
so
again.
careful not to
Yeah,
stress yourself,
exactly.
or not to do this, not to do that, because be careful the food you eat, everything, because you don't know,
Everything, everything. They tell you be careful of
That's
this,
a
be
life,
careful of that.
you
Thank you.
know.
Thank you so much, blessing. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you.
you.
Really
Yeah,
appreciate you
pleasure. It's a
coming on.
pleasure.
So, Nurse Abby, thank you. Please come back on again and let's continue the
Okay.
conversation. So, blessing, thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yes. So, ladies, and gentlemen that are on the call, and I know there's some men here, do you know, you're hearing this, and what I want us to say, what I want us to also look at is like the men, because the men are not left out of this as well. There are issues and there are issues. The women have to go through all the hormonal changes, everything, your body, everything changing. And no, I mean, if you know me at all, you know that I'm a planner. The day I got the positive results, I'm sure that day I probably bought one baby something. I'm telling you, like, so imagine how many things. So when I was pregnant with my first baby now, I was so worried. And also that I was having pains. The pregnancy wasn't an easy one. I was always sick and everything, right? I remember anytime I went out to shop for the baby, I'll be like, Father Lord, this baby will come back home with me, life and well. And you know, even though we don't say these things out, the fact that you're constantly reminded of what can go wrong, that is pressure on its own. So I know that for men, and I think it was one day I just said to my husband, I was like, do you ever even think of the pregnancy we lost? And he said, who told you I don't think about it? Like, when I look at our children, I'll say that, oh, wow, if we didn't lose that pregnancy, we'll have an 8-year-old right now. Do you understand? And for men, you know, men don't really talk about these things. They internalize things a lot. And that's why we can't ignore them completely from this. We go through this ourselves as women, but they also have a role to play there. They have a part there that we need to look at. So, Nurse Abby, you heard Blessing's journey. Yes. Thank you again, Blessing, for sharing your journey with us, your experience. Do you know? And people have said there are so many comments in the comment section where people are saying different things there. And Biodu said that she had ectopic pregnancy and she had to wait for 3 years before she got a positive result. So imagine, even when I remember when she got that positive result, she was scared as, oh God, I hope this is not ectopic again and everything. So if I go back to my own experience, so now, Nurse Abby, from a medical view, right? I believe that, I don't know if it happens here in this country, that if you were to lose a pregnancy at that age, like 13 weeks old, that there will be some tests carried out on the whatever. I don't know what it's called. Like, do you know? So that they can determine to tell you. See what Blessing said. She said that the doctor said to her that, oh, I can't tell you why this has happened. I mean, because this is your first pregnancy. If it was like your third or fourth, you would have had a trend and then we can... I mean, does that mean that? So could they have done some sort of test? Because I was really happy. I was very, very open to know what could have caused it so that I can prevent it for next round. So what do you, I mean, in the UK here, does it happen like that?
Absolutely not. And Blessing, I just want to say, you know, I sympathize with you, because when I heard that story, the first thing that happened to me was I was actually shaking, because I cannot believe that people are still that ignorant. And we're not even leave the people that said, you know, it's spiritual, those ones aside. But for a medical person, which is why, please, women, like, don't give your health, your body to a learner, okay? And by learner, I mean someone that is not even qualified. You know, because there are doctors and there are doctors. In the UK, whether it's your first pregnancy or not, there are things that they can do, right? And the first thing is, so for example, now, if, you know, and I talk because I don't know much about what goes on in Africa, but certainly, okay, if it was to happen, first of all, I would advise a woman to go and see a obstetrician, okay? And some investigations that they can do. The first one being a blood test, okay? Because remember I said in the beginning that there were some factors that could, you know, bring about miscarriage.
That's right, yeah.
And sometimes it could be due to clotting. So therefore, this can be identified by doing a simple blood test. So first of all, they'll do a blood test to check and see, you know, they call it clotting factor. So basically, depending on what the results are, and they'll do this over, you know, a period of time. But depending on what the results are, it will give them a pretty good indication of whether that is the root cause. And then they'll so if it's a problem with clotting, the remedy or the treatment for that is they might decide to put the woman on what they call blood thinners. So as blood thinner, sometimes it might be heparin or some sort of injection that they will have, and that basically to thin the blood. Now, the problem with the cervix, that can be identified by having something called a scan. So you can have either a transvaginal scan, where they will actually do an internal examination. They'll measure the size of the cervix. Okay? So tests and investigations that people that can be done. No one will ever be told, oh, we don't know why it's happening. It's not done.
So do you know, thank you for saying that. Let me just read some comments, and then I'll say what I wanted to say earlier. I think here Payseta says that sometimes they feel scared because of our reactions, not to say the wrong thing and make the situation worse. And do you know what? I get that. I understand it. But being scared and not telling people what needs to be told, you understand? Like, okay, I've just lost a baby. I'd like to know what could have gone wrong so that I don't experience this again. And I have to say again that for us as women generally, or men also, I think we need to start thinking of other more positive ways of speaking to people about pregnancy, right? I know that people might say that, oh, maybe because I've got children now, it's easier for me to say that, oh yeah, it's not really anything. But you know what? The truth is that we need to understand that you having a child or not is not what makes you who you are or who you're not. Do you understand? Because I feel that if you've lost a pregnancy, for instance, especially for someone who's still waiting and still trusting God for a child, right? You're not able to tell people that, oh, by the way, oh, I lost that pregnancy, because people will tell you that, oh, is there something wrong with you, or is there a spiritual attack, or are you an obanje yourself, or something like that, that you're just killing your children anyhow, and all of these things. And we just need to be careful. Do you understand? These things happen. They happen. People go through it every time. Do you understand? Justin says that if you have been referred to a recurrent miscarriage clinic, which is usually after 3 recurrent miscarriages, so that's where they will refer you to. That's if you've had 3 different miscarriages, and it's true. But imagine people in Africa, where, trust me, they have to. It's not a case of, so this is your first miscarriage, don't worry, go home, we don't need to do any test on you. If you have another one and you miscarry again, we'll let you go still. If you now have another one, the 3rd one, or maybe the 4th one, then we can start to look at the different things that, do you understand? And it is because yes, they don't have all the like facilities that we have here, the amenities, all the good things that we have here, right? But it is also about our mentality as well.
Of course. We
are so quick to attribute things to, oh, spiritual attack. Exactly. Oh, somebody said something. Which is why when here people will tell you, oh my God, someone will see your status that you said, oh, you're pregnant or you're having a baby shower. How can you be having a baby shower? Baby that you have not even carried to your house. You're having, do you know, all those things. And for me, I feel like there is just so much that a woman have to deal with being pregnant on its own.
Yeah.
To now have to.
You've reminded me about an important point. Now, for me, I think most women who've had babies, within the first, 3 months, ideally, you should not announce that you're pregnant. Okay?
Is that like medical advice?
So this one is because you don't want Obanje to know, but actually medically, it's the way you don't announce, because within that period, it's delicate, okay? Because that's where the likelihood of miscarrying increases.
It's very high, yeah.
And that is for every woman in general, So yeah, like you were saying, yeah, throwing baby shower. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not, you know.
No, they say it to you. Oh, you're just you're throwing baby shower. Eh? Who does that? You're not even scared. Or I feel like, okay, this is a thing of joy. It is something that you can't even hide. At some point, you're just gonna have to tell people anyway. Like Blessing said, after some time, she had to tell her parents. She had to tell people because she was beginning to show. So I mean, how do you start showing and you don't tell people that you're pregnant? But it is also about us seeing it as, okay, if someone says they've lost a pregnancy, what is our first reaction or response to those people? Do we always come from, and I get it, don't get me wrong, I get it, we always come from the place of, oh, I want to be strong for you. Oh, don't worry, God will do the next thing. God will do whatever. And at that point in time, we feel like the best thing to do is to give that person the word of encouragement.
Of course.
Do you understand? But what happens to just letting, God bless you, MC, what happens to just letting people be? Exactly. Just, like when you have a baby, especially in this country, when you have a baby, people will say to you, especially the British people, they will tell you, oh, I don't want to come and visit you for now. I just want you to enjoy the baby. Just take your time. And me, I'm very Nigerian. I will tell you, if you want to come tomorrow, that's fine. There's nothing that I need, all the help I can get. Don't worry. It's okay. We are good. Do you understand? But there is that place of, okay, this person has just experienced a loss. They can just be there. Let them be there when they are ready. And also encourage them to talk about it. How are you feeling? What is it that you're feeling? What are you thinking? There are probing questions that we can ask people to get them to talk about it. If I had someone then who asked me questions, I remember when Biodun called me and I had to tell her, break the news to her, and then she was asking me because I said, I don't understand. I don't have any answer. They did not tell me anything. They just said nothing. And it was really paining me because I could not. It was like you just lost something and you have no answer for it.
Of course.
Do you understand? That was really, really bad. That was really, it was stressful. So when we have these things around us, when people go through it, please, let's ask them questions. Ask them the real questions. What are you feeling like? What is wrong with you? Are you sad? Do you feel like killing somebody right now? Are you blaming yourself? Because there's another part to it where we blame ourselves for losing the pregnancy. I was sat there thinking, was I busy? But I'm not working. I'm not doing anything. I started questioning the things that I was doing. That I remember when I was pregnant with Zara Jane, any day I was going to work, I'll be like counting my steps, like one by one. As in, honestly, this thing, we can laugh about it right now, but I know that there are still people who are still in this very dark place because of this, and they're still not, maybe they're still looking to God for a baby and all of that. But I trust God, the baby will come. But I say that do not let anything have too much power over you.
That's right.
The first thing is that pregnancy, you didn't put it there yourself in the first place. I'll just read some comments very quickly. So I'm trying to do something. I'm a risk manager, so I'm trying to manage a risk here. I was told that Instagram lets you go over an hour, but I'm waiting to see whether that's going to happen tonight or not. But we are at 28 minutes, but I haven't seen the countdown yet. So I'll keep going. I just want to read some of the comments here to see. So Biodun says, Yemsi says, yeah, some people can't just let other people be. Yeah, exactly. They want to. Then Biodun says that I guess it depends on your relationship with the person. That's so true. It depends on your relationship with the person. But the Pace Data said, I've never had miscarriages, but being a high-risk patient whilst pregnant, I got so much flack that I do not disclose when I'm pregnant because I get judged that I'm doing something wrong. Exactly. Why should anyone be judged? Why should anyone be judged for, okay, it is my pregnancy. Do you understand? It is my pregnancy. If I choose not, I am one of those people that if I get pregnant today, there are a couple of people that will know that very day. Do you understand? And it's not like, the fear of, oh God, I hope this is not going to cause any serious problems and all of that. Morolaya says that sometimes your presence is more comforting than your speech. Exactly. Maybe
Yes.
all the person needs at that time is just for you to be there. You know, just there and just looking. I mean, I'm not one that cries a lot like that. I'm not too emotional to that extent. But there are things that can break me down, you know. And if I need to